everybody, this is Peter from BurgZerg Arcade at BurgZergArcade.net, and here we are back again with a little network game that we're working on. So let's go ahead. Today we're going to be working on the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll start off with the default way people generally work with the camera. And let's go ahead, we'll grab our prefab, and we'll go ahead, we'll just drag our QB somewhere into the scene. There we go, and I'm just going to go ahead and take our camera and make it a child. And I want to go ahead and set the offset to be 0 on the X. On the Y, let's go 2. And on Z, let's do -10. So there we go. That's the view we're going to get. Let's come down here. I want to make sure I'm in 16:9. So this is the view we're going to get right here of our guy as he moves around. And of course, if we actually save this off, we'll go ahead and we'll reapply it. I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Save the scene, we'll start it up. I'm just going to go ahead and make a host. Now we see here that we don't have a camera, but the onGUI stuff, sorry, not the onGUI, the new Unity GUI stuff still shows up. So if we go ahead and start, there we go. It now follows us around. Now our camera, or our player does not rotate around, but we can see that it actually still does move around. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happens when we try to do it this way over our network. So we'll do a quick build here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll go shrink the screen down a bit. We'll have this guy over here. And like always, I'll go ahead and start this up. We're going to host on the Unity editor. And there we go. I went ahead. I spawned at the original spawn point. And I can move around. And we'll come over here. And we'll make a client. And there we go, but we notice that the camera is moving over here in the client as well. And that's because we actually have 2 cameras in the scene now. And we're actually getting a warning here about the 2 audio listeners. That's because each camera has an audio listener. Now this is a pretty common problem that you see in a lot of network games with Unity. Shrink this down a bit. And it's pretty easy to get around. We want to come into our scripts. We'll go to the player movement script. And when we start up, when we're checking to see if we're the local player and we're setting it to blue, I'm going to add an else statement in here. And in here, I want to actually go ahead and do all of my disabling. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that camera that's attached to the network player and disable it. There's a few other things we should disable here too, like the rigid body. So I'm just going to go down here and say game object. And I'm going to call it camera. And the rigid body we'll choose get component for. So we'll come back into the scene. We're going to go ahead, select our QB clone that we have set up here. And let's stop the game. And we'll go ahead, select our prefab. Let's drag him into the scene to work with. And we'll take a look at our player movement script. I did save this, right? I thought I did. And let's go ahead and make this public. So we can see this in the inspector. And we could also just look for it. I'm just going to assign it this way. Either way, whatever floats your boat. So now we have a reference to the camera. So I can come down here and just say camera. And we really should change the name of this. Set active. We're going to set it to false. So we're just going to turn the whole game object off, the whole camera game object. And I am going to refactor this. We shouldn't use the name camera. And I'm going to call it camera game object. And we'll go ahead, we'll save this off. We're going to go jump back into Unity. We'll do, let's do an assignment. We'll apply this back and we'll go ahead and delete it. Save the scene, do one more quick build, and we'll try this one here out. And we're going to come back in, we'll shrink this down. We got both on the same screen. And just like always, we'll go ahead, start our host up here. And then our client, and there we go. It's not disabling for us. Let's take a look here. And if we come down to our prefab, we don't have the camera assigned. I thought I did. Maybe I did not hit apply. But anyway, we'll go ahead, we'll assign that again. Let's do another build. But before I do that, let's shrink my screen down so it automatically refreshes our build here. Great. So we'll go ahead, clear this off, start it back up. We host here. We have our client here. And now when we move around, there we go. The camera on the client, or we're going to call it the network player, follows the network player. And the camera over here is following. Now this is all great, but a lot of the times I don't want a game where I'm just disabling the cameras. Now there's a lot of games where this actually does come in quite beneficial. If you're playing any type of MOBA, usually when you die, you have that cool off period before you can respawn, and you can usually get the view of maybe one of your teammates or the person that killed you. Even a lot of FPSs have this. So you could go ahead and actually just enable let's say you want to see the person that killed you. You could go ahead and enable their camera, even though it's a remote player on the local machine, and that way you can see what they're doing. But just to make this one a little bit different than a lot of other ones out there, we're going to go ahead and create a camera script, which I'm actually going to use the camera script that I wrote for our 3D space game that we did on Twitch. And I've already gone ahead and copied all of that out. So let's just go ahead and open it up and take a look at it. So we'll come up to the top here, and I'll just quickly go through what the script does. So we called it follow cam. And in case you're wondering, just come into your scripts folder, right click, create a new create a new C# script, call it follow cam. And I have some variables up here. The transform of the target that we want to follow, the tag of the target that we want to follow, the distance we want to follow behind our target. In this case, we want to be centered on it on the X, but 2 up and 10 down, 10 behind it. And we want to apply some dampening so that our camera isn't always exactly in the exact same position every frame. So basically it's going to sway back and forth a little bit. And you can go ahead and adjust these numbers to get the desired effect that you want for both the rotational sway and also the positional, or damp as I call it here. And since I am going to be working with our transform quite a bit, I'm just going to go ahead and cache it. So we'll come down to our wake function, and this is where I'm caching our transform, just so I don't have to keep looking it up. And late update. Now for those that are new to Unity, maybe aren't quite familiar between all the different updates, being update, fixed update, late update. Update is called before late update. So any script that has an update function, it will call its update function before any script calls its late update function. And generally, if you have something that you want to happen after maybe another script, for instance, our camera, this particular script, it's going to be following our player. I want that player's movement to be done in the update function, and I want the camera to be in late update. If I had it in update, there are instances where the camera's movement could occur like in a frame before the player. Now, of course, this game doesn't actually move fast, and it's really not going to cause any problem, but I think it's just a good habit to get into. Put your camera movement in late update. So what are we doing in late update? Well, we're going to call this function down here that I've called have target, and we'll look at that in a bit. But basically, if we don't have a target, just get out of here. There's no point in doing the rest of the code, because the rest of the code just moves the camera according to the target that we want to move to. So let's go ahead and take a look at the movement code. So I'm going to create this vector 3D. It's called toPosition. This is the position I want to move to. And we find out that position by taking our target's position. And then we're going to add on the target's rotation times the follow distance. And that tells us where we want to move to. The next one, we're creating another vector 3, and this is our current position. And we're going to figure that out by doing a lerp function. And the way we're going to do that is take our current position, and we want to show the position we want to move to. And we want to move over time, not per frame. So we're going to use time.delta time. And of course, we throw our dampening in there just to add that desired effect that we want. Then of course, we go ahead and assign that current position to our actual position. Sure, I could have just actually put this up here, but I just like it on the separate line. It's a little more defined when you can do it step by step. So we're going to come down to the actual rotation, and it works just the exact same as the position. We're going to create a quaternion for the position we want to rotate to, and we're going to use the quaternion.look rotation, and we're going to take the target's position, and we're going to minus our position. And in this one here, we actually have to tell it which way is up. Now this was copied from our 3D space game, and in space there is no up. So what I had the camera doing was rotating according to our spaceship. Now this game, there is a defined up. It's basically the opposite direction of whatever your gravity is pointing at. So we are going to have to change this later on, but for now I do want to just keep it like this just for simplicity. But with the way it is right now, if for some reason our cube flipped over, our camera is going to flip over too. So it is something that we have to keep in mind. Next, we want to go ahead and figure out what our current rotation is. And we're going to use a slurp because we want to be able to rotate on a sphere this time around. And we're going to go ahead and take our rotation and of course the desired rotation. And just like up here, we're going to rotate over time instead of rotating per frame. And we apply our dampening to it. Then of course, we're going to assign that to our rotation. So let's come down and look at this have target. So we're going to come in and take a look and say if we don't have a target, so the game has just started and we don't know where our player is, what we're going to do is go out and take a look for this game object with the tag that we have set up here for player. So we'll have to make sure that we add that. And we're going to go out and look for it. And if we find it, great. We're going to go ahead and assign the transform of the game object that we found to our target. And we're just going to return true. But if we didn't find it, we're going to return false. And then up here, if we don't have a target, the else statement will be returned true. I probably should switch that around. Logically, my brain likes to do the trues first. And it's actually, well, we'll just leave it the way it is right now. But I can see that's something we're going to switch later on. This will be the else statement. This will be the if statement. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and save that off. I'm going to go jump back into Unity. And I'm going to go ahead and, well, let's just use the camera that we have on our QB. So I'll drag it back in. Open it up, take the camera. I'm just going to drag that camera off. Reassign the QB. You see that it disappears off the prefab. I'm going to go ahead, get rid of it. We have to make some changes in the script, but that's okay. We're going to have to do that anyway. For here, we're going to add that follow cam script, and let's just do it this way. And the tag we're looking for is player, so we have to make sure our cube is tagged as player. So I'm going to come down, take the QB, and I want to actually, by default, make it enemy. Well, I guess we could make it player. That way we're guaranteed to always have a player. And I'm not sure if I can actually assign a new tag by code. I believe I actually have to have that tag defined ahead of time. So because of that, we'll make a tag, and I'm just going to call it enemy. I'll save this off. Select our select our QB, and we have to get rid of the camera object. Not going to be using that now. And I can just come up here, go into the player script, and we'll get rid of this one. Because our player really doesn't care about the camera. That's something the camera should worry about on its own. That should be enough to actually get rid of it for us, everything we did with it. And it is. But now we have to come into the start function here, and we have a different else that we're going to use this time. And we're going to say GameObject.tag is equal to enemy. Let me just check just to make sure this takes a string. Yeah. So we'll save this off. We'll come back into Unity. Of course, we're going to always save the scene in Unity. Force a habit. You don't want to crash. And let's go ahead. We'll try another build. I'll bring this over here. We'll start this up. Just like before, we have our host. There we go. We see the camera comes over and attaches to it. And as we move around, we see there's a little bit of 10 by default is what I used. Now you could go ahead and change the dampening if you want more of a sway. But we can see it does work. It finds this, moves around. And let's go ahead, we'll stop it again. And of course, the benefit of it this way is that we actually have a scene here to display, but it really depends on how you want your game to behave. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll host, we'll go over here, we'll do a client. And we see how the camera swung over here as well. And it's not finding the right guy. So over here, we're on the right one. Over here, we are not. Let me go ahead. And take a look here. I just want to make sure we don't have a player attached. We are tagged as enemy. This is tagged as player. Look at the main camera. And here's our target. Is there? Oh, never mind. That's right. For some reason, my mind just wasn't processing it right. Apparently, too much cough syrup. So, well, actually, no, we're not following it here. So it doesn't look like we're player over here. We'll have to go ahead and check that out. But over here it's right. So it's not right on the client. Let's go ahead, we'll stop it. Let's have a host over here, and we'll do the client over here this time. So it's working over here, but not over here. So go ahead, we'll take a look, enemy and player. The main camera, we'll take a look. Let's actually go ahead and set it up so it changes names, because as we add more and more people here, this is going to confuse you when they're all just called QB clone. So that's going to be the first thing I do. Let's just go ahead, jump into the script. Oh, we got something here. Oh, that's fine. We got this here because I shut down the host before we shut down the client. So we'll go ahead, start adding parentheses in here. And we'll say GameObject.name is equal to player. And we'll do the exact same thing down here. GameObject.name is equal to, and in this case, let's call it remote player. Jump back in, quick update. I accidentally created a new scene. That's not what I wanted. So we'll do one more quick build. We'll update our executable here. And we'll work it like before. I'm going to have the host here this time. We'll start it up over here. We'll do a client. Great. Here's our player. And if we take a look at the camera, we're following the remote player. So let's take a look here. The player is tagged as enemy. Our player is tagged as player. So it's something in the script. What am I missing? We'll jump back into our script, and we'll jump into the follow script. And it's got to be the have target. Now, I do not want to make this a network behavior, because this camera here has absolutely nothing to do with anything on the network. We just want it to follow our local players. So a simple way would just be to check to see if we are the local player, or if what we're following is a local player. That means we have to go ahead and become a network behavior and use the Unity engine.networking. I don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is just add a couple lines down here where we're actually checking to see if we have a target. And if we do have a target, and if target.compare tag, the tag we want to compare is the target tag. So we'll have to put an exclamation mark in there. So we're going to compare the tag, and if the tag is not the same as what we're looking for, we're going to go ahead and set our target to be equal to null. And I'm not sure why it's wanting all these parentheses, but we'll just go ahead, we'll put them in anyway. It's good practice to have them. And that should do it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that off. We'll jump back into Unity. Shrink it down, save it, make another build, and then we'll go ahead and start this up as the host. And we'll start this up as a client. And in the host, we're following the blue. And over here, we're not not following blue. And over here, we are following blue. Sorry, I keep calling it, what I'm meaning to say is the remote player. It's following right, and it's also following properly down here. Great, one camera and the whole scene, and it follows the right player. Anyway, that's it for this video. A little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I did want to show two different ways of handling some of the different camera setups that you could have. But as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. So if you liked the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. It really does help me out here on YouTube. And go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I can be a pretty chatty guy over there when I'm not walking through a forest or being stalked by eagles and falcons, lions, tigers, and bears.